Because there is no literature for the Mr. Signal data suite, not that I can find anyway, in English, I've been blundering my way through as best I can, and I'll share with you what I've found so far. I'm going to send you a link to the software, and as a matter of downloading and unzipping it, within that folder, firstly, we have a driver for 64-bit and a driver for 32-bit. And of course, you install those first. I've done this already, so I won't do it again. And then we have a program within the bin file, and we have Mr. Signal exe. And it's simply a matter of running that program. So follow the setup instructions that I'll show you in a moment. I'll insert them here for setting up the output on the Mr. Signal itself.
That I don't read Mandarin or Cantonese or traditional Chinese text puts me at a bit of a disadvantage because there is virtually no information on the Mr. Signal available in English. Anyway, so what we're going to look at first is the ports to make sure we're connected to the PC correctly. So we go to Function and we move down to Port Settings and we enter on that. Depending on what where you've been before, you may have different settings on this one. So you've got USB Modbus, USB RS485, Heart Modem, Modbus Slave. I'm just going to use Modbus USB. The baud rate 4800 seems to be the normal, but I found that it worked fine at 9600, but I'm just going to stick with 4800 at the moment. And yeah, parity none, stop at 1, so just the defaults on that one. And then we're going to move over to the computer.
Now, provided that's all gone according to plan, you should be met with a screen that looks something like this when you start Mr. Signal. Now, mea culpa, I am blundering my way through this and I am still very much learning how to work it. And I've not been entirely successful with everything yet. I'll show you what I've got thus far. First thing I do is check that we're on COM4 and at 4800 baud rate, which is what we had on the system. So I would normally go to Device Manager, which I do from Windows key X, and just check that in fact we are seeing something that makes sense on COM4. And indeed we are ST Microelectronics Virtual COM port COM4. Okay, so we're fine there. So if we go connect, if everything's working well, on the right here, we should see MR9270S version 2 come up. And then there are 3 tabs down here: History Curve, History List, and Control. And the Control is the most interesting screen. I must admit that I'm still working my way through this, and I've only got the basics sorted so far. Right now, we have 2 channels, and we can select to view 1 or 2 traces on the screen. If I unclick them both, nothing shows. If I do in and out, we'll see both curves, a black one and a blue one here. I'll just, for example, I'm outputting frequency at the moment. You'll see on the left x-axis we have frequency. If I increase that, and we see the same graph on the Mr. Signal itself, I'll go up to, there's 100 Hertz, for example. Now, if I was to do in and out, which of course we know Mr. Signal can do, we would simply have a graph that looked the same with the same frequencies on both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to output current and on a second Mr. Signal, so that we can see a graph that looks a little bit more meaningful. So I'm now outputting 4 to 20 milliamps or 20 milliamps currently on a second Mr. Signal. Some technical difficulties. There we go. So if I go down to formula amps, we see the bottom screen shows 4, top screen now up to 20, and go up and down. Now, if I hit start recording, and I'm set to 0.1 of a second, we can see that there is data going up. There is data being captured, and we can see samples there. I'll go up and down a wee bit to make it meaningful, and I'll do the same on the output of this other Mr. Signal, just so we can see some graphs that make sense. And here is where I've reached what Einstein would call his event horizon, which I can't see beyond. I'm not at all clear how to process that data. If I hit stop recording, on the machine is a test file there where the factory has done a test and recorded some data. I'm not sure how to get my data up into the recorded position. So if I try going upload, we get the message that your own history data is open, close it, and then click upload. So we'll go through and go history list and go close, and history curve and go close, and then go upload. The screen flashes, something happens, but nothing appears here. In a similar way, going menu, save, we get what is called an LYD file created on the desktop. Much with it. If we try exporting to CSV, that might be interesting. We'll go test, and we'll go on the desktop again. Export the complete. That's some interesting English there. So if we go to test CSV, and we'll open that in Excel. No, again, we've only got the old test data that the factory's used. So I'm afraid we'll have to work on this together and find a way to work out how we save that data. But that's as far as I've got right now.